Welcome back. Today we're going to walk you through the process of adjusting your headlights to get the most out of them. And all you're going to need is a screwdriver and maybe some tape. In our recent video, we explained that one of the reasons aftermarket lights were blinding drivers is because of not adjusting your new bulbs after installing them. Or maybe your vehicle was recently repaired from a front collision, or you've had to replace your entire headlight and the angles are a little off. Either way, fine-tuning allows your lights to focus better and get that light exactly where you need it. In another one of our videos, we also walked you through the process of restoring your headlight lenses if they're cloudy or discolored. And if yours aren't clear, we recommend you watch that first. The link is in the description below. We've already gone ahead and restored ours, so we can be sure we're getting the maximum light output possible. And so now we're ready to install our new LED lights. Now this vehicle was purchased with an aftermarket HID kit already installed, which was working fairly well, but is now beginning to give trouble. So we're going to be proactive and upgrade that before they fail on us when we're driving at night. Now, assuming you're happy that your current bulbs are giving you the correct light angle, then the first thing you'll want to do is mark where the level or height that your lights are currently shining is, so that you can line back up your new bulbs to match. You'll need to park in front of a wall or other flat surface that will show the light clearly. 6 to 10 feet away is ideal. It's also a good idea to make a note or mark the exact distance on the ground where you've parked, so that if you have to make adjustments later on after you take your first test drive, you know where your reference point is and can line the vehicle right back up. Once you've done that, just make a note with some tape or chalk where your light cutoff is. As you can see, there will be some bleed with the light, so try and average and get it as close as possible. This vehicle uses projector lenses for the low beam, thankfully, which give a fairly sharp light drop off, making it a little easier. If your vehicle carries separate bulbs for the high and the low beam, and you're also going to change your high beam bulbs the same time, you can follow the same steps for this as well. You'll see here there's just a few inches between the low and high beam levels, but this translates to a much larger variation on the road. So keep this in mind later when we actually come to make the adjustments. Small changes can go a long way. Notice also how sharp and more defined the cutoff from the projector light is for the low beam compared to the reflector style lens for the high beam, which tends to give you a less focused flood type of light and is more practical for that purpose. A keen observer will also notice that the left side headlight shines overall a bit higher than the driver's side. Since where I'm from we drive on the left side of the road, this is to give you more light off to the curb side while dipping slightly to favor oncoming traffic. You want to maintain this slight variation. It's another reason why headlights purchased for a different market may be harder to adjust, since this feature is often built into the headlight design, so right-hand drive and left-hand drive headlights will often vary, so keep that in mind. Now that we have our reference points marked in front of us, we can get to installing our new bulbs. But first we have to remove this old HID kit that was already installed. This HID kit required a complete harness and far more complicated install. These are H11 code bulbs, which is what this particular headlight requires. Every headlight carries a specific type of bulb, and you must purchase the correct bulb type to match. Even though they're completely different tech, you can still see the similarities of the bulb in relation to the base and the location of the light source. The dimensions on these two bulbs are pretty identical, which tells us our new bulb shouldn't need much adjustment. You can see how much simpler this LED kit is to install. Now we're ready to check the light level against the original setup. Ours is almost in the exact same spot, so we could probably just call this done and go for a test drive. But sometimes you may find the light is too low, which will prevent you from seeing as far as you need to, or too high, which will waste some of the light and blind oncoming drivers. If that's the case, then grab a large Phillips screwdriver, and number 4 or even 3 should do the trick. The longer, the better. Open your engine bay and look at the back of your headlight. On most modern headlights, you'll be looking for a small screw gear. They're part of the headlight assembly itself, but may be a bit hard to spot, so you may have to look carefully. Now on some headlights, it may also be an Allen key slot to adjust instead of the Phillips screwdriver. Normally, there are two per bulb. One will adjust the height and the other the left to right angle. Now, our focus will really be on the height adjustment for this purpose, but you may be able to play with both to see what gives you the best results. Many newer vehicles also come now with self-leveling headlights, or with a feature that will allow you to adjust the level to varying degrees from within the vehicle itself, and some of these have no external adjustment for that particular bulb. Once you find the right screw gear, remember not to overdo it. As we said before, a few small adjustments can go a long way. When you have it where you think works well, then it's time to go for a test drive somewhere safe and make sure everything is working as it should. If you have a friend in another vehicle, they can even position to face you and make sure your lights are not affecting them. If the low beam is still getting into their eye level, you will need to angle them down some more. And that's it. You're ready to enjoy your new bulbs safely. A few points to remember before we go though. As we said before, small adjustments go a long way. You may not notice the light level change at first as you make your adjustments, because sometimes the increments are very small, especially if you've parked close to the wall. So try to get a clearly defined start point as a reference for comparison and take it slow. Before you make too many turns, make sure you have the right adjustment screw for that bulb and for the angle you're trying to change. Watching the light on the wall move as you turn it will usually be a good indicator. If you're unsure, you can make a small mark on the top gear tooth before you move it, so you can always reset it to where it was originally. Nail polish works pretty good, if you can find one safely. Or, if you want to play it safe, just give it a visible scratch. Older style vehicles may have adjusters that look a bit more like a traditional screw, usually with the same Phillips head. The location will vary, but the principles in the video still apply. We hope you found this video helpful, and if so, please take a second to like and subscribe so you can see more future content, and also feel free to comment down below. Thanks for watching, and remember, drive safe.